Hey everybody, my name is John DePietro, and I want to thank you so much for taking time from your busy schedule to watch this, what I consider, special video called My Life with Kenny Rogers. But the best part about it is it's not about my life with Kenny Rogers, it's about the life of our guests. And in this episode, there's a good word for you, Mike, our guest is drummer extraordinaire, Mike Zimmerman. Mike, welcome to the show about you.
Wow, this is awesome, and I'm so happy to have an episode.
Episode. You've had a few episodes before, but we haven't been able to talk about them publicly. Okay.
We'll keep that off the internet waves.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know what? I need to tell people that this is one of a series of shows that are being produced in commemoration of Kenny's birthday, which is coming up in August 2020. And, the first August 21st without Kenny around in 82 years or so. So what we want to do is go back, way back, and find some of the people that spent time with Kenny behind the scenes, behind stage, and really can tell us the stories about what it was like to work with a man who probably has an unparalleled career, except for maybe 3 or 4 other people, in the world of show business. And that includes music, it includes movies, it includes TV, it includes live performances, and probably
Books.
several.
Books?
Yeah, books, right. Several other facets
Print,
of communication world. And what we want to do is tell you that if you enjoy this one, right at the bottom right-hand side of your screen, there should be a little red button that says subscribe. Hit that red button, and also there's a little bell next to it, so that will give us the opportunity to notify you every time a new episode comes out. And we've got some great people already in the can, as they say, and ready to come on in the next couple of weeks to speak to you. So with that being said, let's get back to Mr. Zimmerman, all the way from, well, I won't even tell the people that. I'll let you say that. Mike, tell us your background, the years you played with Kenny, and where you're from, and how you found Kenny, or maybe we should say how Kenny found you.
Yeah, I'm currently in the middle of Idaho, so if you want to find me, that's where you need to go.
Okay.
What was the question? You want to know how I got with Kenny?
Yeah, how you got with Kenny? Where are you from? I mean, I know you're from Cleveland.
Oh, yeah. I'm from Cleveland. I'm an Ohio boy. I've been there. Was there. That was 20 years that I moved to Nashville to follow my dream of playing music. And I lucked into meeting Randy Dorman, our guitar player, probably in 2010, when I was playing with a local artist here who was being produced by Billy Dean, a friend of the Kenny Rogers group.
Yeah.
And so his little pet project, Billy's project, I was playing with the girl, Clara Oman, who's a great artist. And Randy came out to see his new thing. So that's where he met me, and we exchanged numbers. And then I got involved doing some recordings with the band, and that's when I met Chuck and Brian, and Warren at the time was around with us, Steve and Gene, everybody. So
did you ever work with Amber? Was Amber around when you were there?
Yeah, Amber was there, right. She wasn't living in Nashville, so we never did record it together.
Okay, yeah.
But then Lynn Hammond, Kenny's previous drummer, second drummer, I'm third, which is really pretty cool to say.
Mike Zimmerman the third. That sounds very that sounds regal, doesn't it?
Regal, yes.
Michael Zimmerman the third.
The third. So so Lynn was having issues with his foot and with his back, and they had this Australia tour 2012 coming up, and he's like, I got you down under right here. I ain't doing it, so get a new drummer, because I'm done. Wife says, retire, come home. So they asked me to audition, and so I did have to audition for the gig. You would think they would just have hired me, but they didn't.
Yeah, they did just hire Brian, and they did just hire Chuck.
Yeah, I had to work for
hire Edgar. You had to work for it.
I had to work for it. I had to compete. So, which was fun. but anyway, so all worked out great, and played my first gig in May of 2012, and I had my music charts. I had no rehearsal, and Kenny said I did great. And he, at my very first show, he says, "Welcome our new drummer." And
Did he know your name?
uh, you know what? I think he was probably having, like, what's his name? Mike. Okay, Mike. Yeah, Mike on drums. And and then 5 years later, he still had trouble with my name.
So we should tell people that story, because I brought it up, and it's kind of an inside joke, but
Yeah.
Tell people that story about Kenny forgetting your
Well,
name.
yeah, we were on Fox and Friends, and we did after the show online only content part, and he, they kind of took the time for him to introduce everybody in the band, and of course he knew everybody's first and last names, and he came to me, and it was like, "That's Mike." He was just got stumped, and it was kind of a funny moment, and it's online somewhere on YouTube.
Yeah.
And
I don't think the band helped him out either.
no, I think they did, but it was funny, and it turned into a moment with the hosts of the show. They were like, "Come on, Zimmerman," and they I got special attention.
So that was kind of like your.
It was a happy accident.
A happy accident. So, people want to know, on show day, Mike. Okay,
Yes.
What does an average day in the life of a drummer for Kenny Rogers do on the day of a show? Tell us, from the time you wake in the morning until the time you have that pizza on the bus at night. Give us your day.
Well, it depends on where it is. If it's in the middle of nowhere, like on an Indian reservation casino type of thing, it's get up, you wake up on the bus, and you're like, okay, go in, get your room key, go to your room.
Now, this
sleep
could be
more
anywhere
because
between 2 in the morning and 6 in the morning, right?
yeah, right, exactly. And usually we will sleep through the night on the bus and wake up in the early morning, or some people will, like Brian, he'd sleep till 9 or 10 on the bus. But I was like, I got to get off this thing, because it's just a petri dish on wheels. And so getting off of it, going in, get your room, maybe have some breakfast, some nice high carb breakfast of whatever the Hampton Inn is. Well, actually, every breakfast in every Hampton Inn is the same.
Yeah.
So go in, maybe eat, and then go back to sleep, because this is how you sleep all night, on a bus. And so you finally get some rest a little bit, and then watch some TV. And then maybe there was a little strip mall, and you can go walk over there. And actually, one time in Detroit, I did find a strip mall that had a what's that place where you donate stuff? Goodwill.
Yeah.
I went in there, and I found a set of Titleist DCI irons for $60. So I found a deal. So yeah, I went shopping. So I'll shop. I'll do whatever. Now, if we're somewhere that has something to see,
say you're like in Portland, Maine. What if you're like in Portland, Maine?
Portland, Maine. Oh, we'd go probably find some local food fare and lobster sandwiches, or whatever. What was that sandwich called?
Oh, I don't know.
What's the lobster sandwich thing? What do they call that?
Lobster roll.
Lobster roll.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll go find a local place. We'll do something like that. Take in some local color. That's always good, because we were very fortunate in the band that we had a crew. And shout out to Brian Parkos, and to I can't remember his name now. Well, Ben.
Ben Pluis.
Ben Pluis.
Yep.
I got him that gig, by the way.
You did? Okay.
Yeah, and Aaron Roy, even those guys would set up my drums, and there's not a lot of gigs out of Nashville. A lot of players, have to set up their own gear. So this was the first gig for me where I actually had a tech. Someone set my stuff up, so I didn't have to be to the venue till 5:00. And we got there, and it was like, okay, go check your stuff, make sure everything looks good, my in-ears work, blah blah blah. I mean, it was so cut and dry. Everything was the same, so it always worked 99% of the time. I never had a problem with what was set up there. And then it was like, let's go eat. So we get catering, and we sit around and pig out. And that's the thing about the road, is that your diet is awful
Awful.
and
There's
your sleep is
always
awful.
chocolate cake. Always
Well,
dessert.
yeah, there's something. And
Always.
then in the fall, there's pumpkin pie, and that's my favorite.
Yeah.
It's my
Yeah.
my Achilles
Because
heel or something.
the fact is, you guys were big deals for a lot of these venues, and they wanted to put the best foot forward. And I know there was a place that we used to go to in Beverly called the North Shore Music Circus. North Shore Music Theater, and there was an Italian restaurant that used to cater for it. And a couple times, they even took us back to the restaurant if we were doing 2 shows, 2 nights there. They would
Yeah.
take us back to the restaurant at 10:30 at night and make pasta by hand. I remember Gerald Roy and I and Mario and Danielle. I don't know if you ever worked with them. Over to the restaurant, and
Yeah.
pretty cool stuff.
Yeah,
But
it's just you're just taking in a lot of food and junk, and then whatever, so back to the typical day, we eat, and usually the food was fantastic. And then we'd sit around, and it was time for Kenny to come in. And we had also in the back room, I had like a little electronic kit where I had like pads I could play. And then we had a guitar and a keyboard. And so if Kenny wanted to run something or warm up his voice, or usually we were preparing for something coming up, like Christmas show
yeah,
or a special event or something where we're going to do a song. So Kenny would come in, and we'd run stuff like that. And then there'd be time for just some idle chit chat. And, usually, by the time I came along, of course, it was the boys, his sons. What's their names?
you mean Justin and Jordan?
Justin and Jordan. That's it. Oh, those 2 guys, those crazies. So we're always talking about that, and Kenny's, he's older fella, and he's got these young kids he's raising. So it was funny, the thing we had in common, because I have a son who's near the same age, and so we're just always swapping kids stories. Like I'm talking to somebody my own age and talking about kids, but he's just like, oh man, they drive me crazy, and of course he loved them, of course, but
Right.
it was a lot of energy to take on those kids.
Oh, when you're in the 70s and have 10-year-old kids with unbounded energy.
Yeah. And there's 2 of them.
Right.
And they look
those
the
weren't
same.
little thin kids. Those were hefty kids. Those kids were muscle.
Yeah. And they were a trip. I remember one time we were playing at Schermerhorn here at the Symphony Center in Nashville. We had 2 nights there, and the boys were there. And Kenny was, he was just, it was funny, but he's just like, hey, bring the boys out. And they come out, and they'd either do a rap or they'd sing or something. Well, one night, I don't know which one is the drummer, but he played my drums while the other one did some breakdancing thing. I've got on the stage. I got video of it. Maybe I'll send it to you, and you can insert it into your thing. But it was pretty funny.
That was cool. So then there's either an opening act or you guys are ready to go, but you're still killing time, right?
Yeah, just a little bit, and it's cool. Just sipping some coffee and chatting with the guys and all that good stuff, and then with Kenny, and then we go out there, and like you said, we just, a lot of times, I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but it's the same show all the time.
Yeah.
Same songs, and sometimes he'd say the same stuff, and that's really, a testament to his professionalism. He knew how to put on a show, and everybody does it. I've learned that definitely from talking to other people, some of my other peers in the industry, is that, they do the same stuff all over and over. So a lot of times you go out there and play this show, and it's autopilot a lot of times.
But in the 5 minutes, when Keith or somebody says places in backstage, do you kind of go into a zone? Do you change personalities and have to get into the show, into show mode, show mentality?
No.
Or you go out there?
No, I'm the same person behind stage as it was behind the drums, because it really was a show about Kenny. Kenny was the front guy for many years, the guys, it was pretty much the guys were in the background and Kenny was up front. And that was really his philosophy, is that he's, we're the band and it's Kenny. He's the one who's running the show. So I don't have to be an actor in a play or whatever. I just got to perform the drum part. Simple as that. I mean, I don't have to do anything more than that. So
now, I remember there was a time when there was some extracurricular stomach movement that you were dealing with during.
I don't know what you're talking about, but one time in Glastonbury, now that was a show that we got pumped up for, because Glastonbury was 100,000 people, and that was a big deal. And that was all young people, and they loved Kenny. They did it. It was awesome. So that was an instance where it was like, whew, we're going out there in front of, a real big old crowd. I mean, just the biggest live crowd ever.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that was a moment there. But a lot of those theater shows and things like that were just it was just like, oh, time to go make the donuts.
Yeah.
Not that we weren't excited to be there. Don't get me wrong. We enjoyed every show we did, and as they were counting down, in 2017, it was always in the forefront, like, this may be the last time I do this, or so you appreciated doing them.
Yeah. And it turns out the last time you did it, you really didn't know it was the last time
Right.
you were doing it.
Right.
Show up in that cold day, that Sunday afternoon in Glens Falls, New York.
Is that where it was?
Yep. Glens
I'm
Falls,
glad somebody's keeping a record of this, John.
Well, I was there and I've got video of it.
Do you?
I've got video of that last time Kenny came off the stage and Linda Davis hold him coming down those stairs, and Mike take him a walk back to the bus, and that was it. And
I remember there was
had that feeling there
was a cardboard cutout of him with the Dole pineapple or something in the backstage. I remember that.
That's in my office right now.
Yeah, I took a picture with it.
Yeah, oh, you took a picture with it. So
I'm like, this is the only time I'm going to be with young Kenny.
Yeah, that's right. He had those white shoes on and the white pants. But and that's so funny that you mentioned the Dole thing, because I went through some material today and found this T-shirt. But the interesting part is the Dole logo, which with the chroma
stole
key,
a mug.
really interesting.
when Kenny had a warehouse in Kentucky, we went there a couple of times to pick up some of the Christmas show set stuff like that. But I mean, that's where there were his just stacks of books, all the set pieces from all the shows.
Yeah.
Just wardrobe. I'm like, okay, where's the 3-piece white suit? I want to see it.
Yeah.
And all that stuff. So I stole a Dole mug, and I also stole this mouse pad.
Oh, really? Okay.
But see, I've made it say Ken Rogers.
Oh, Ken Rogers.
Nobody calls him Ken except me, right?
Yeah. So as you've spoken with other people, in the 5 or 6 years or so that you were on the road, other drummers, other band members of other groups, how common was it where the topic came up that how lucky you were to be with someone with stability in the industry? Because at least today, you don't see people with 50-year careers. You don't even see them with 10-year.
Yeah. A good friend of mine, when I got the gig with Kenny, and he's like, "Oh, Mikey, I'm real proud for you. I'm proud of you, man. That's great." Because that's a real notch in your belt. Meaning that, it wasn't like some of the other road gigs. I played with Tracy Bird. Tracy's a great artist. I'm not taking anything away from him. Earl Thomas Conley, Doug Stone, Jamie O'Neill, and they're all great artists and are great singers and all that stuff. Of course, they don't have the careers that Kenny had, but yeah, this one really stood out, and lots of people would congratulate me or say, "Oh man, real happy for you," type of thing. And everybody knew it, and sometimes when you're in the trenches and you see all the dirt and grime that's on the road, and it's part of the whole organization or whatever, like things that you just kind of get annoyed with that you do with everything. The grass greener on the other side type of
Yeah.
ordeal, you know. But people would remind you all the time that, you know, boy, that's pretty awesome. Like, boy, you don't play with anybody but legends, you know, because Earl was a big
Yeah.
country artist, and I'm like, yeah, I guess I'm the drummer for the Legends or something. I don't
Legend
know.
drummer. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and
So,
I'll take that.
how about the most fun experience that you can remember? One that you said, you know what, that was well, and it could be a show, or it could be something that you did before the show or after the show, or when we went to LL Bean or whatever. But the fun experience that you say, you know what, that was really one of the coolest things that I remember.
Oh man,
with Kenny.
Australia. I mean, we went there. I went there twice with them. Of course, they were there many more times than that. But I think the coolest thing we did was me and some of the guys in the band, and I think a crew member, and Keith as well. We went to SeaWorld in Brisbane, Australia, and it's not the same as our American SeaWorld. It's a little different. They don't have a Shamu, but they have a shark encounter where we went swimming with sharks. They were fed, I guess, but
Just before you
so
went in.
yeah, thank
Yeah.
God. And then it was in one pool that was full of sharks and other big groupers and big fish, and then they had this glass in between this other tank which housed a 20-foot tiger shark. So you can go down and snorkel by the glass and look over. And I didn't get to see it, but I probably, I would have freaked out if I saw that. But anyways, but it was cool. I was like chasing sharks in this, 20, 30 feet of water. And a friend of mine went with us, and she took video of it because they had an underground glass. And so I've got some great footage of us swimming with sharks. What's that promoter's there? Greg. I can't think of his last name, but he took care of us. The other promoter, the main promoter there, and his name escapes me too. And the poor guy passed away, which is sad. A super nice guy, would take care of us to the nth degree. I mean, it was amazing how well the dinners were awesome. The little trips we went up in the outback up in Darwin, and we took a boat ride down the Catherine Gorge and saw alligators in the water and cave drawings by Aborigines, and then we had dinner on it. Then we took helicopter rides over. I mean, it was like, so
Cool
Australia
stuff.
was amazing, and they took care of us unbelievably.
Yeah. So were there any Outback steakhouses there?
No,
No.
no, and they don't drink Foster's beer over there.
Yeah. It's just like in Italy, there's no Olive Gardens.
Right.
Exactly. So what would you say, Mike, is the biggest lesson that you learned during the Kenny years? Lessons that you can take with you in other aspects of your life that you're in right now?
Wow, that's a deep subject. Because I know you told me you were going to ask me that question, and I was thinking about it. I'm like, lesson that I learned, and I'm not saying I just can't think of anything right now. Because Kenny was funny. He was like the wise old wizard. Like you'd see him on stage, always point his finger when he's singing, I promised you, son, like that was his thing. And he'd do that backstage, but he always had some life lesson to teach me. And I can't remember a single one of them right now. But I know that a good foundation, a good group of guys, like a family in there, because like you said, it's not the stuff, it wasn't just Kenny's stories and his thing. Is all of us, we're still friends to this day, and we still hang out and go golf and eat and do whatever and hang out as much as possible and stay in contact. And that was, I think that's really important for an organization, because I've played in other bands where you don't have that.
I mean, it seemed like everybody from the bus drivers to the lighting crew to the the people that were on stage, they truly enjoyed their company in the pregame meals.
Yeah, well, the merch guy.
Yeah, right.
Everybody. Yeah,
Yep.
Daryl.
Yep.
Funny story about Daryl when we were in Australia. And normally we don't take the merch guy, but Gene worked it out that he could come. And he was like his second lieutenant, or his main man, his right-hand man. And we were out snorkeling somewhere. We thought we were in the Great Barrier Reef, but we ended up being I guess we were in alligator-infested waters. But anyways, I had to save Daryl's life because he was almost drowning out there. He got cramps or something. And I was able to stand in this water, but I had to go save the merch guy so we could sell T-shirts.
You know what? We've spent some time talking about the past. But there is talk that the Kenny Rogers music may be living on, and talk.
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm not allowed to talk about this thing.
Oh, okay.
I'm kidding. Yeah, the Kenny Rogers band. We're gonna go out and play the great songs of Kenny Rogers.
And you know what? If COVID didn't hit, you'd already have several gigs.
Yeah, COVID kind of threw a wrench in the machine here.
Yeah.
We had things booked.
The other crazy thing is, when Kenny passed in March, it was already in the COVID era, if you will, and there was never really a public tribute or ceremony or funeral or eulogy or anything like that. That kind of makes it difficult to think back on these times without, because you kind of think that he's going to come out of that bus at any moment and say, "Let's go, guys." Do you all feel that same way?
Yeah, it was weird. I mean, just him as well as a lot of other, Charlie Daniels, other folks that have passed during this whole thing. And then, you don't get that closure of a funeral. And my heart goes out to his wife and kids and all that stuff for that too. And I don't know. It is weird. I probably can get right back on the saddle again and do a show with them. But yeah, it's weird. But it's cool that we're still staying together and we do get together. And Don Gatlin is doing a great job singing, and that guy knows everything about Kenny. Knows every song, every lyric of him and everybody else. But
too.
Especially, it's funny, when I first moved to town, a little story about me is, I came as a drummer and I went to the musicians union, and Buddy Harmon, the famous Buddy Harmon drummer, told me, I told him, I said, I went to the musicians union and I said, "Hey buddy, how do I get a gig in town?" He's like, "Oh, I don't know." And I go, "Well, I also write music too." And he goes, "Well, that's what you should do. You should be a writer. That's where the money's at." And I said, "Okay." So then I spent about 2 years kind of following my songwriter path. And during that, I'd go to a lot of writer rounds. And one of them was being hosted by Don Gatlin. And he did a Kenny Rogers impersonation at this thing. And I thought it was hilarious because he did a great job with it. And it's just so weird and ironic that I'm playing with him now in a Kenny Rogers tribute band. So there's my little story.
Wow. Yeah. It's not really a tribute. I mean, it is a tribute band, but it's not really a tribute band because it is the band. The music is the tribute, but.
Correct. And Don's got a history with Kenny too, writing songs with him and opening up many shows, going overseas with him. So Don's got a connection as well to Kenny.
I know we're looking forward to seeing you guys again in person and, reliving some of those good times. And hopefully the catering will be just as good with you guys as it was with Kenny.
I hope so. I don't know. If Chuck has anything to do with it, it will. Chuck and Frank.
Yeah, Chuck's in charge of food. So anyway.
As Frank always said, it was about the food. So
yeah, it's all about the food. We want to thank you so much. We've got Frank coming in. We've got Chuck coming on. We're trying to get back to Steve because Steve's not a Facebook guy. We're even trying to get the elusive Gene Roy to talk for the first time.
Oh, that's like finding Bigfoot.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, we want to thank you so much. And I know that everybody's going to look forward to seeing the Kenny Rogers Band when they come to a city near you. So with that being said, folks, if you like this video, hit that like button down in the bottom right or subscribe. that type thing. And
thumbs up too. That makes you money.
yeah, that's right. Thumbs up too.
Thumbs up.
Exactly. And Mike, we should tell our audience that those are real drums behind you. That's not a virtual background like behind me.
Yeah, that's not green screen. Everything. Those are real drums. Because what I also, you know, since the retirement of Kenny, and I've always done this, is, you know, with technology, digital technology, I can record drums here and send it to anybody around the world, and so I can do a session. Did it with people in Australia, and I do it with people around here all the time too. That, and I got into carpentry and woodworking, so I do a lot of that too. So I like to work with my hands and do some creative stuff. So
great, super. So thank you so much again, and we'll see you down the road. And have a great day.
All right, John. Good to see you.
Thank you.